What it is, y'all. Monty mentality is back. That's right. I believe this is number 6. I hope I got that right. But yeah, special one for y'all today because we're going to change the format a little bit. But before we get into that, I just want to note at this point in time that I've been awake since 10 p.m. last night, and it is 6:49 p.m. the next day. So yeah, I've been up for almost about, let me do my maths, 21 straight hours. And I did a workout. I went to work all day, and now I'm here recording. But I'm a soldier, so we just keep on moving. And I'm probably gonna crash when I get home in a few hours. But hey, it is what it is. I'm gonna try to get y'all a good one today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you know when these come out. Of course, they're not super frequent right now, but I'm working on some stuff in real life that will allow me to do more of these. So hopefully everything works out there. And for 2025, we will be on a more consistent cadence. All right. But we are doing a different format today, as I said. Usually the usual spill is I started with like sports, and then we do gym stuff, and then I do my little philosophical stuff. Well, we're flipping that on its head today, boy, because today we starting out with the philosophical stuff, and the sports is going to be the footnote this time. So yeah, despite the fact that the Commanders are doing some really good things right now, but we'll get to that. So let's get it rolling. So today's main topic, the star of this show, is about me, but not just me specifically per se. And this is a fun exercise that I think you could also do for yourself, which is, what would I tell 18-year-old Brandon if I could go back to 2006, summer 2006, and get a hold of 18-year-old Brandon as 36-year-old Brandon? So literally half my life ago. If I could go back and tell him what I know now that would help him make his life smoother and better from that point on versus what it actually ended up being, what would I do? What would I tell him? So we're going to go over that. So first off, let's talk about 18-year-old Brandon. He was such a lost and wayward soul, for sure. Actually had some decent knowledge for his age probably, but no clue how to really apply it. But that's, it'd be like that. Also, he was a frail, meek, timid, shy, lazy, unconfident piece of shit. All right, that might be a little harsh. But most of that is true, though. Maybe not the piece of shit part, but the rest of that is true. It is what it is. Like, again, like I said, we're being honest here. We're not pulling punches on, what I was at the time. But the goal with this is to take that Brandon and to have the alternate reality Brandon reach, say, 26 years old and be as close to what the actual 36-year-old now is as possible. So we want to make it to where the Brandon you see before you now, that Brandon actually is cultivated a lot sooner, maybe a decade sooner. But, is this realistic? Of course not. But, we're just going to have fun with this here. So the confidence, the finances, the independence, and the fitness and the well-being, all of that, that is what we're going for. We're trying to cultivate that and to cultivate that God mode. You know what I'm saying? Cultivate that God mode for him. So, all right, so here's the blueprint. Everything we're going to lay out. So first off, first thing I would tell him, we're going to start with the small stuff. So I started college at this time. I was in school for way too long, but that's going to be part of this rhetoric. The first thing is switch your major, Brandon, from computer science to information technology. Now, background. I started out as a computer science major when I went to Dell State. And, I actually did fine with it, when I actually went to class and was focused and whatnot. I could do the programming and the software and all of that. Like I didn't really struggle that much when I actually like tried, but that's part of the issue is that I didn't always try. But I could like see the programming. I could figure out programs without much struggle, especially with the early stuff with Java and all of that. But the reason why I switched to IT when I got to Bowie was because it just seemed like a more straightforward path. And it looking back, IT always was a better fit for me than computer science. Now, for those of you who are not in that realm, in that universe, basically, the thing about computer science is that the reason why it doesn't fit me is because I am not the actual geek that I thought I was when I was younger. And young Brandon, you will discover this as you get older. No, you are not a geek. You're just smart. It's a difference, okay? And to get to what I mean, the difference between computer science guys and IT guys is IT guys are kind of all over the spectrum in terms of like personalities and interest and all of that. You might have guys that are more like quote unquote cool into sports, they might be into fashion and all kinds of stuff, right? You can get all kind of personality types and all kind of dudes in IT. But computer science, straight up geeks, nerds. If you go into a high-level computer science class where it's a lot of software engineering, future software engineers and developers and all that, you will not see a Jordan in sight. If you see a snapback, it's going to have a Mario Brothers 1-Up mushroom on it. It's going to be those kind of niggas. All right. You are not going to see, ain't going to be too many, you probably ain't even going to see too many Ralph Lauren polos because, that was big back in our day. Ain't going to be no True Religion. Yeah, remember the time we're talking about here. You ain't going to see none of that type stuff. No fucking, I guess, chains or whatever floats your boat, right? You ain't going to see none of that in there, all right? If you go in a computer science classroom, like an actual, like, junior, senior level one. So, yeah, I had to learn that I'm not that type of geek. IT more fits my personality. And it also still can be high paying. Now, granted, I'll give it to you. The software developers and engineers, them niggas make programmers, etc. They make money. I mean, money, all right? They be getting paid. Now, they probably not going to take your girl if she's of a certain status, but but they're gonna be making more money than you though. Gonna have more money than you. So there's that. All right. The next thing. Transfer to an in-state school if and when possible. Because I was already at Dell State, starting at Dell State soon. But this is mainly for one main reason. Them goddamn student loans. Ugh. The bane of my existence, the number one problem of my whole life is those damn student loans, and it's really the interest. The interest is kicking my ass. But, if I had stayed in state the entire time, I would probably owe maybe a third of what I do right now. I'm not even sizing it. This shit is crazy. But, I have myself to blame for that largely, but also just getting talked out of going to an in-state school. I should have just went to like UMES or something. UMES, Eastern Shore, goddamn. I should have went there because maybe Bowie and Morgan were too close, so I should have just went there. And maybe I wasn't going to be mature enough for that, but that would have been a better outcome than what actually happened. So, but hey, you live and you learn, right? Even when it's too late. Blah. Next thing related to school. Your main focus, your number one focus, everything revolves around this goal. Get out of school as fast as possible. 4 years flat. You will save yourself a lot of heartache and trouble by getting out of school as fast as possible. You can move on with your life, and this opens the door for you to potentially get a master's right after if you want. You get a master's in cybersecurity or something like that. And, I'm big on education. Education is very valuable. I would actually strongly think about going back to school for a master's. As much as I hate school itself, I do love education, and I would just like to have that marker on my resume. But I don't want to do that shit because I don't want to pay more money for school, bruh. I already owe too much. Maybe one day if I get that shit in order. But right now, nah. And granted, I don't need the masters to make the money I want to make, probably, but I just like having that notch on my belt. I'm that kind of guy. Anyways, like I said, more loans equals. But also, it's not just get out of school in 4 years. We have to talk about, okay, yes, you want to get good grades. We know that. And you want to stay on track with your college courses. We know that. But what you also need to do is to build the habits that will actually make that happen. Because me, as I said before, I was very lazy and undisciplined in my young days. You know, my mind could be all over the place. And so how do we build the habits that will allow me to actually accomplish this goal of getting out 4 years flat? Well, for one, take each day, one day at a time and one task at a time. Instead of always thinking about a million things at once, just think, okay, right now at this moment, I'm going to go to class. Right now at this moment, I'm going to study, do, maybe 30 minutes of studying. Oh, I'm going to do this one little part of this assignment. Just do little things that add up, and you just keep doing that and keep doing that and building those habits and making it a pattern. So it's second nature for you to just be disciplined like that with it. Again, all the little stuff adds up. Next thing, get in shape. You knew this was coming. Get in shape and most importantly, get strong. Get big and strong. And so part of that is, we're not going to get into too deep in the details with that, but one thing with the diet plan would be, I'm putting myself, or I would put my 18-year-old self on a seafood diet. Because he's, only allowed 135 pounds soaking wet. I'm a straight stick at this time. So we're going to do the seafood diet. You're like, seafood? Yeah. You seafood, you eat it. That's your diet, all right? You see it, you eat it. You on that nice little meal plan at school. Take advantage. You got all that shit in the cafeteria. It is built for a young college boy to turn into a big, bulky man. And that would be the goal, Also, of course, learn how to lift and be patient with it, And do this now instead of 31 like you would later. Do this at 18, all right? And again, same thing with the school shit. Do little by little, day by day, to build the habits to where it starts to become second nature. And before you know it, you're going to be jacked and swole. All right, so you're not going to go from sad troll to big swole overnight. So just remember that. All right, another one. It's a big one. Learn to embrace cleanliness. I'm not always the best at organization and staying on top of stuff. I've gotten a lot better now, but back then, horrendous. So, once again, similar to the studying and the gym stuff, little by little, day by day, just do something small to make your space more organized, more clean, or whatever. Don't try to take on the whole world at once. Just do little things each day, so that way shit doesn't sneak up on you and add up. Same thing. All right. Next one, learn how to dress. Because I didn't really care about, how I dressed back then, really. That didn't really come until my early 20s. So how do we do this? Just go to your dad and maybe your sister. If you know, you know. We don't have to go any further there. The next bullet, please. This is a big one. Be pro-social. So be more social in general. So I was very antisocial, especially as a teen. I didn't really start to really break out of that until my early 20s. And slowly I've gotten better and better and better over time. I am an introvert by nature. I still am. I love my alone time. The best Saturday to me, a lot of times, is just sitting in the house, not doing shit. Just laying there being a straight bum with the Chardonnay in my hand and Sudoku on my phone. But I've gotten better at becoming more social and engaging with people. And that was probably honestly my biggest weakness as a human was my socializing and my social habits. But this will help build confidence within yourself and also will open you up to more opportunities in terms of networking, connecting with people, maybe even dating options. This will give you more of those chances, right? So, very important. Being pro-social is a very important skill, a very important quality to have, just in general in life, right? For a multitude of reasons. Okay, so now, and this is another big one here. Believe that you deserve to get what you want and that you are capable of getting it. So believe that you can be what you want to be and you can get what you want so long as you actually put in the work to get it. And it's important because if you don't believe it, how are you going to put in the work to actually get what you want? Do not fear rejection or failure. Just don't take anything personal or as an attack on your worth and keep it pushing. And that's with anything. That could be with jobs, school, girls, whatever. But you won't get what you desire if you don't go for it. Duh. And then the last bullet here for this big segment is girls and women. What to do with that? A true struggle for your boy. I'm not going to lie at the time. But this was mission last for a reason. And that's going to transition into our next big segment, which is attracting women. How do we do that when this doesn't come natural? So, because some of us have the misfortune of not really attracting girls through our natural development through life. It happens, right? It could be for a multitude of reasons, but it's, what do we do about it? Well, first of all, let's identify some potential issues. Is it because you ugly? Well, not me though. Definitely not. That definitely ain't my problem. But, chances are for most guys who struggle, it's not because they're ugly. Because, the threshold, there's probably a few guys that might be the thing, or maybe you're 5'4" or something, and even those guys can still get girls, right? But it's it might be a bit harder, if you're 5'4" instead of 5'8", and then, as you get taller from that, then, there's diminishing returns how much each inch of height helps you. But, it's nice to be tall, but you don't have to be. But really, more than likely, you struggle because, and I know it's true for me, a lack of self-confidence and a lack of authenticity. Because what's funny is, the quote-unquote nice guys or the good guys, but really it's the nice guys. Nice guys are not always good guys. So, as a nice guy, you think, hey, if I try to, be real nice and not really say what I want, try to act oh, I don't want that one thing. And you know what that one thing is I'm talking about. I don't need that. I just want to be your friend, or I just want to treat you nice or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. But deep down, that's what you're really going for. The fun fact is, funny fact, a lot of times the guys, who has the best time getting that one thing? The guys who only want that one thing. And you think oh, but girls say they don't want those kind of guys. But yet those are the guys a lot of times that are the most successful. Well, you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why do those guys are more successful than you think? And the answer is actually quite simple. They're not afraid to go for what they want and to say what they want. And that's something that you, Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. quote-unquote good guy, that's what you got to learn how to do. You got to learn to go for what you want and say what you want and not hide it. And here's the thing. Because you, Mr. Good Guy, you want that same thing too. You want to see that girl naked, just like any other guy does. Now, the difference between you and some of the other guys is that you actually do also want to treat her well and all of that too. And you might want more from her than that, but you do want that thing. So stop acting like you don't. Now, granted, making that clear to her that you want that doesn't make you a creep by default. Depends on how you go about it. You can be tactful. You ain't gotta sit there and be like, yeah, like, let me see them titties. Like, no, don't do that. But like, you can tactfully let her know, like, yeah, like, I see you and I want you. It's not that hard, but have the confidence in yourself and belief that you can get it. And again, don't fear the rejection, because that's really what it is. You don't want to get rejected. You fear if you tell her what you really want, you're going to get rejected. But here's the thing. Just because you want it doesn't mean that's all you want. But again, don't hide your desires. You might want more things from her. You probably do. But also, don't leave that out. Don't try to sweep that under the rug. Make it known. All right? Because if you don't, you ain't going to get it. But, so let's go back to the previous segment. Why did I save this part for last? The attracting women part. Why did I put that last for the quote unquote self-development of the young Brandon and whatever young men might end up watching this that might be in similar boats? Because everything I mentioned in that previous section is going to help you get girls anyway. That's the thing. A man does not fully mature until he stops seeking the approval of a woman. Now, I forget who exactly said that. I know it might have been Dr. Robert Glover who came up with that. But yeah, until you stop seeking the approval of a woman or women, you have not fully evolved as a man. And what I mean is, it's not that you don't want women or you don't want to be liked by women. It's more that you are not doing things specifically for their approval. You are being your full, true, authentic self, and that is going to attract the women that you should be attracting. So it's like, listen, this opens the door, like it opens the door for you to not fear rejection, right? When you are not so hung up on women's approval of you, which a lot of times it starts from childhood because you're trying to get the approval of mommy, and now you're growing up and trying to get that same approval from women that you're sexually interested in. When you lose that fear, you lose that need to get their approval, that allows you to be that true man that they really want anyway. Like, that's what they really want. They want you to be who you really are and to be your honest, true self, and let them decide if they mess with that. But don't try and tailor yourself specifically to them, because guess what? Most of the time, you're going to fail, okay? Because at the end of the day, there's really nothing you can do specifically to get a woman to like you or be attracted to you. Like, you can buy her all the flowers you want. You can take her out here and there and tell her this and that and all. None of that is going to get her to like you or be attracted to you or want to take her clothes off for you. None of that. Like, you have to try and be your full authentic self, your best self, and then let the chips fall where they may from there. Stop getting so hung up on the outcome. Do what you want. If you want to text that girl good morning, do that. You want to take her here, do that. You want to get her flowers, do that. But don't do it with the expectation that I got to get something in return. You do those things because this is just who I am. This is how I roll, and that's what I want to do for you because I like you. And if, you like me back, cool. If you don't, I can keep it moving. But I'm not going to regret anything I do because it came from an authentic place, a true place. And that's where you want to be. And let's talk about the triad of the ultimate chick magnet, the 3 things that can make you attractive to women or to the feminine, as they call it, or whatever. Number 1, be comfortable in your own skin. Number 2, know where you're going. And number 3, look like you're having fun getting there. If you got those 3 things, you'll be surprised what you can attract. Women love guys that fit all 3 of those things. Notice I didn't say anything about how much money you got, how handsome you are, tall, None of that. Those, if you got those three things, you will be surprised what you can attract. Trust me. And so essentially, the funny thing about all this, as we get to the end of this, is essentially men have to be, and I think it was Psych Hacks on YouTube that said this. You have to be, as a man, a lot of times catfished into self-development, into improving yourself, because basically women are the carrot they dangle in front of you, right? To say, hey, you should do this. Hey, you should go to the gym. Hey, you should get a good job. Hey, you should clean your house. You dangle that carrot for you to do all these things that you need to do, and then you wake up one day and realize, hey, wait a minute. I actually like being comfortable in my own skin. This is cool. Oh man, damn, it's cool to have a clean house. I like my house clean. I'm gonna keep it that way. Oh man, it's cool to look fly all the time. I like being in nice fly shit. Oh man, the gym is awesome. Lifting weights, like man, I just love looking at myself in the mirror and seeing myself lift heavy shit and all of that. Hey, having some money in my account, that ain't so bad. Having a nice car, nice crib, oh, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Hey, having a nice education, I'm proud of myself for that. All these things that might make you more attracted to women are things that you should be doing anyway. So that's why trying to do things specifically for women's attraction is a fool's game. You just need to do shit for yourself, and then eventually the women will come. Or you'll be able to actually bag the women that you probably desire. You just have to get your life right and believe in yourself and do what you gotta do. And that's that. So now we are on to the sports section. And today's sports is going to start with my Commanders and Jayden Daniels update. They are 3-1 and scoring like nobody's business. The stats are kind of crazy. And if you recall, in the previous semester, I was tagged myself as a Jayden Daniels skeptic. So, as my mind changed, and I actually just finished watching actually all the offensive plays from the last game before this podcast started, because I was asleep during the second half yesterday, but I actually went through just to make sure I was prepared. And has my mind changed based on what I saw? And y'all gonna hate me for this, but not really. But let's be clear what my previous stance was before we decide to rag on me for that. I didn't say Jayden Daniels couldn't be good. My main issue is the ceiling of how good he could be. And right now, it looks really, really good. You can't lie about that. The result speaks for themselves. However, I do have questions about how sustainable this is going to be, which was always one of my big questions. The offense has been quite simple so far. He's done a little bit more the last two games, of course, but it's still largely very simplistic. If you look at his spray chart, so to speak, and you compare it to other quarterbacks, his is very dink and dunk city, a lot of stuff on the outer boundaries of the field. And usually, it's tough to sustain really high-level offense that way, even with his legs as well. We've seen that, there's a ceiling long-term in terms of, how good that can be, right? So he probably will have to expand his game a bit more when defenses eventually adjust. And it could take them a while. Cliff Kingsbury's offenses in Arizona, usually defenses wouldn't adjust to them until about November. And then after that, they weren't killing people anymore. And so that could happen with the Commanders. So it's hey, until they stop that shit, Commanders, keep doing that shit. All right? Y'all better keep doing it. Make them stop it first. All right? But yeah. Sacks also are not a big issue yet. That was one of the other big concerns. But that's mostly because that offensive line he's sitting pretty back there right now. They're not touching him. It's crazy. That is a game changing development for the Commander franchise. If that offensive line is for real, that rookie tackle Brandon Coleman, he's looking really good. So if they manage to get a good offensive line already, that is a big development for the franchise, and we'd be very happy to see that. Um, yeah. So now, can the Commanders win the NFC East? My answer to that is maybe. Maybe they could. Because Dallas and Philly are looking like butt. And we know the Giants are butt. And they ain't worried about them. So, but I expect Dallas and Philly will probably look better as the season goes on. And I think our defense is absolute. Still, even though they looked better yesterday, but overall, I still expect the defense to be absolute doo-doo. And it's going to be hard to overcome that. And the offense is going to have to keep this torrid pace for them to get to the probably at least 9 wins it would take. So I still don't see that, But hey, they got 3 wins already, and that's only 2 off of what my expectation was. So hey, keep it going, guys, as long as you can. But now for the next part of our sports talk, the WNBA playoffs. Let's talk about some women's basketball. So the New York Liberty remain the heavy favorite. They just beat the Aces last night. Well, they'll probably have another game by the time this drops. But so right now, at this recording, this is Monday, September 30th. So I expect this will probably be out that Wednesday. So like I said, game 2 will probably already have happened by then. But Brianna, Sabrina, and Jonquel. Oh my, that's just a lot to deal with, and they are the clear favorites. That offense is just too good with all of that firepower, and they're just stacked. Like, so good luck to whoever's going to try to beat the Liberty. And look, Asia Wilson is still the best in the league by a mile, but she probably can't take down the Liberty on her own. Like, she's up against it trying to get them out of here. But hey, there's still more ball to be played, so let's see what happens. And then the Sun and the Lynx are probably the big threats. Well, actually, because it's only them left, right? But I would say the Lynx going in, I would say the Lynx would be the biggest threat, but they did lose game 1 to Connecticut. I would like to see Fee get a championship. That would be nice. Congratulations to her for Defensive Player of the Year, by the way. But the Sun are quite tough themselves. Anytime I watch them girls play on defense, it's like, good God, like they just got the straps. Jesus. Like Alyssa Thomas and Brianna Jones and Juwana Bauer and them, like, woo. They are tough to score on, boy. Let me tell you. They gonna have them girls in jail. But, be excited to see game 2 for that one tomorrow for sure. And see how that plays out. And then Caitlin, of course, we got to talk about Caitlin, right? Caitlin had a mixed bag in the playoffs. A terrible game 1 and then a pretty good game 2. It's her first rodeo. But her and the Fever are definitely coming. Her and Aaliyah Boston. I don't know what's going to happen with, I think it's Mitchell, with her contract situation. But yeah. The Fever are coming, and she's going to have her first actual off season, and let us pray for the rest of the WNBA after Caitlin Clark comes back from a full off season, because you saw how she was putting belt to ass after she came back from the Olympics. Oh, well, she didn't go to the Olympics, but she got the rest for the Olympics, and then belts to asses was happening. See, I should have sent her over there. That's what y'all get, but yeah. Caitlin's coming. She's coming. And the last sports talk for today is about that Georgia-Alabama game, but specifically Ryan Williams, that sensational 17-year-old. Only 17, but that play that he made to put Bama up for good after Georgia took the lead for literally 2 seconds. That's the most amazing play I've ever seen a wide receiver make in my life. I am not joking. When you consider, not even just considering the game situation. I mean, that just puts it on another level. But also, like, to have that the body control, to make that catch, number one. get on your feet, and then turn upfield, then hit a dead leg spin move between two defenders, and then be able to accelerate to the end zone and take your mouthpiece out before you even reach the end zone like that. Just all of that in one fell sequence that was insane. And again, he's 17. Good God. He might not even play the full 3 years. He might pull a Jamar and be like, you know what? I know I'm going top 5. I ain't playing my junior year. Fuck out of here. Would not be surprised. And then we're going to end this with some gym talk. A quick rant here. So, no one warns you when you get lean and jacked and shredded, right? No one warns you about how you have to constantly change your wardrobe because you can't fit stuff anymore. When I first lost 35 pounds back in 2020, I had to change my whole wardrobe because shit was just way too loose. You know, I got rid of my pudge and my dad bod, and I had the shredded abs and all that. But guess what? Now I had to go down to smalls. Go from mediums to smalls across the board. And then guess what? Then I started getting more jacked, and not even a year later, probably, I had to start going to get mediums again. So I had to change my wardrobe over again. And now, in 2024, I'm starting to have to go to larges now. This is a medium. I'm pushing my luck with this. I probably ain't going to be able to wear this much longer. I already look like enough of a douchebag as it is, you know. But now I'm going to have to get a large like this one. It's some bullshit, all right? No one warns you about this. My bank account don't like this, all right? Enough. I mean, I ain't going to stop getting jacked, but, you know, it does suck to have to change your wardrobe. No one warns you about that. But yeah, now we get to the Montyism of the day, which is you don't lack motivation. You lack priorities. So you are motivated. Because one thing people like to ask me about the gym is like, yo, how do you stay motivated, Brandon? That's what I need. I need motivation. I got to get motivated, go to the gym, whatever. You know, just how do you get motivated? And it's like, you know, that's why like people hire personal trainers and coaches, because they want somebody to motivate them to show up to the gym every day when they're supposed to. You know, that's a big part of that business. It's just keeping people accountable and shit, right? So, but here's the thing. You are motivated to do stuff. You're always motivated. You always have motivation. You are motivated to wake up in the morning. You are motivated to eat whatever the hell you want. You're motivated to drink whatever you want. You're motivated to sleep and take naps. You're motivated to watch TV and binge Netflix. You are motivated to go to the bar. You're motivated to text that man or woman that you know you have no business texting. You're going to do it anyway, but you know you shouldn't. You know, you are motivated to go to work so you can pay your bills. You're motivated to mindlessly scroll social media. But guess what? You have to just be motivated to do the right things. You have to prioritize. So ensure, the key here, the take-home message is ensure that your priorities match up with what actually fulfills you, what actually fills you up spiritually, emotionally, mentally, all of that, and lines up with what you want to get out of life. What is really important to you? And this requires you to be authentic and honest with yourself. You know, for me, having abs and cuts and all of that, you know, that is more important to me. That beats eating the delicious poison that you regular people eat. You know what I'm saying? That's more important to me. You know, lifting weights brings me more joy than mindlessly scrolling social media. You know, so I don't let mindless social media scrolling or watching TV or whatever get in the way of going to the gym. I'm going to be in that gym. You know, now granted, if I can transfer that same motivation to getting my studies together so I could get more of these certs, so I can get my money up, you know what I'm saying, and my knowledge, you know, then hey, we'd be making another step, but we working on that. All right. But this also is not limited to the gym. Focus on your self development, focus on your professional development over immediate gratification. Study for that cert, do that class, do that thing that you said you was going to do, clean that house, cut that grass, wash that car, do whatever it is that's going to make you feel better about yourself, and prioritize people who actually add value to your life in totality over those who don't, and that could be friends, family, even relationships, prioritize your family members that are nicer to you. Prioritize the men and women that you date that actually add to you and don't drain you over the ones who do. Even if the ones who do drain you give you more immediate gratification and immediate dopamine hits, you got to eventually say, hey, you know what? It ain't worth it. Put them to the side and prioritize the ones that's actually going to add something for you. Yeah. And that's the Montyism of the day. So we are actually going to close this out with one more thing. Rest in peace to the great Dikembe Mutombo, who announced he was died earlier today of brain cancer. Hall of Fame basketball player, NBA, we have the iconic moment where, the 1994 Nuggets were the first 8 seed to win a playoff series over the Sonics, and he's holding the ball or whatever with the Nuggets. Hall of Famer, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time All-Star, and a top-notch humanitarian, and who could forget the finger wag, the infamous finger wag. So, that's how we closing out. So, shouts to Greenhouse Studios. Shout outs to my lovely cousin LaPria. Dedicate this one to her. And like, subscribe, hit the bell button. And that's it. See y'all next time.